Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Saturday. Let's look for the message of Jehovah today as we draw closer to Jehovah into the new system of things. There's a lot of government issues at the moment. Everyone talking politics. Would the world be better without government? Or what government would be better in person? Jehovah's government has promised everlasting life in paradise. Wouldn't that be nice after the new system of things? All that needs some comfort in our hearts, comfort in our mind. You're thinking, what is going to be the next prime minister, the next president? Who's going to be elected? What if they elected Jehovah, God of armies, and put everything back into a perfect example for living man, living life paradise, but everyone's nice, everyone gets on really well. Everyone treats each other with respect. Page 120. The most horrendous act of injustice when his son, who committed no sin, was executed as a criminal. Clearly, Jehovah is neither obvious of nor indifferent to the plight of those who suffer injustice. Yet, when we observe injustice or when we ourselves become victims of unfair treatment, it's only natural for us to react strongly. We are made in God's image, and injustice is diametrically opposed to all that Jehovah stands for. Why then does God allow injustice? The important issue. The answer to this question is related to an important issue, as we have seen. The Creator has the right to rule over the earth and all those dwelling in it. Early in human history, through Jehovah's good name, was slandered and his way of ruling was changed. How did this come about? Jehovah commanded the first man, Adam, not to eat from a certain tree in the garden that was in paradise. And if he disobeyed, he would certainly die. God told him. God's command worked no hardship on Adam or his wife. Eve, nevertheless, Satan convinced Eve that God was being unduly restrictive. What if she did eat from the tree? Satan told Eve outright, you certainly will not die, for God knows that in the very day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you'll be like God, knowing good and bad. In this statement, Satan implied not only that Jehovah had withheld crucial information from me, but also that he had lied to her. The tempter got Eve to question the kind of person represented by the name of Jehovah. Satan thereby brought great reproach on God's name. He also attacked Jehovah's sovereignty, or way of ruling. Satan was careful not to question the fact of God's sovereignty, but he did challenge the rightfulness, deservedness, and righteousness of it. In other words, he maintained that Jehovah was not exercising his rulership in a righteous way and in the best interest of his subjects. Subsequently, both Adam and Eve disobeyed Jehovah by eating from the forbidden tree. Their disobedience put them in line to receive the punishment of death, just as God had decreed. Satan's lie raised some vital questions. Does Jehovah truly have the right to rule mankind, or some man rule himself? Does Jehovah exercise his sovereignty in the best possible way? Jehovah could have used his almighty power to destroy the rebels right then and there. But the question raised pertained not to God's power, but to his name, which involves his way of ruling. So eliminating Adam, Eve, and Satan would not have affirmed the righteousness of God's rule. If anything, it might have called his rulership in question even further. The only way to determine whether humans could successfully rule themselves independent of God was to let the time pass. What has passing of the time revealed throughout the millenniums? People have experimented with many forms of government, including autocracy, democracy, socialism, and communism. The sum total of them all is epitomized in the Bible's frank comment: man has dominated man to his harm. With good reason, the prophet Jeremiah stated, I well know, O Jehovah, that man's way does not belong to him. It does not belong to man who is walking, even direct, to his step. Jehovah knew from the beginning that mankind's independence or self-rule was result in much suffering. Was it unjust to him then to allow the inevitable to run its course? Not at all. To illustrate, suppose you have a child who needs surgery to cure a life-threatening alignment. You realise that the operation will cause your child a degree of suffering, and this deeply grieves you. At the same time, you know that procedure will enable your child to enjoy better health later in life. Similarly, God knew and even foretold that his allowance of human rule would bring along with it a measure of pain and suffering. But he also knew that lasting and meaningful relief would be possible only if he allowed all mankind to see the bad fruitage produced by rebellion. In this way, the issue could be settled permanently for all eternity. The issue of man's integrity. There is another aspect of this matter. In challenging the rightfulness and righteousness of God's rule, not only has Satan slandered Jehovah with regard to his sovereignty and name, but he has also slandered God's servants concerning their integrity. Note, for example, what Satan said to Jehovah regarding the righteous man's job. Have you not put up a protective hedge around him and his house? And everything he has. You have blessed the work of his hands, and his livestock has spread out the land. But for a change, stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your very face. Satan contended that Jehovah was ruling his protective power to buy Job's devotion. In turn, this implied that Job's integrity was a mere sham, that he worshipped God only for what he could get in return. Satan asserted that if Job was deprived of God's blessing, even that man would curse his creator. Satan knew that Job was outstanding in being an upright man of integrity, fearing God and shunning what is bad. So if Satan could break Job's integrity, what would that say for the rest of mankind? Thus Satan was really calling into question the loyalty of all these of those who want to serve God. Indeed, broadening the issue, Satan says to Jehovah, a man will give everything that he has for his life. History has shown that many like Job have remained loyal to Jehovah in the face of trial. Contrary to Satan's claim, they have made Jehovah's heart glad by their faithful course. And this has given Jehovah a reply to Satan's boastful taunt that humans will stop serving God when they are subjected to hardship. Yes, right-hearted ones have refused to turn their backs on God, even when perplexed by the most distressing situations. They have relied all the more on Jehovah to give them the strength to endure. But Jehovah's exercise of justice involves more than the issue of sovereignty and man's integrity. The Bible provides us with record of Jehovah's judgments in relation to the individuals and even entire nations. It also contains prophecies of judgments he will render in the future. Why can we be confident that Jehovah has been and will be righteous in his judgments? Why God's justice is superior concerning Jehovah? It can rightly be said, all his ways are justice. None of us can make such a claim about ourselves, for so often our limited perspective clouds our perception of what is right. For example, consider Abraham. He pleaded with Jehovah concerning the destruction of Sodom, despite the rampant wickedness there. He asked Jehovah, will you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Of course. The answer was no. It was only when righteous Lot and his daughters arrived safely at the city of Zoar that Jehovah made it rain sulfur and fire on Sodom. In contrast, Jonah became hot with anger when God extended mercy to the people of Nineveh. Since Jonah had already announced their destruction, he would have content to see the exterminated, regardless of their heartfelt repentance. Jehovah reassured Abraham that his exercise of justice includes not only destroying the wicked, but also saving the righteous. On the other hand, Jonah had to learn that Jehovah is merciful. It is wicked to change their ways. He is ready to forgive. Unlike some insecure humans, Jehovah does not administer adverse judgment simply to make a statement about his power, nor does he withhold compassion, out of fear that he will be viewed as weak. His way is to show mercy whenever there is a basis for it. However, Jehovah is not blinded by mere sentiment. When his people become steeped in idolatry, Jehovah firmly declared, I will judge you according to your ways and call you to account for all your detestable deeds. My eye will not feel sorry for you, nor will I feel compassion. For I will bring upon you results of your own ways. So when humans are hardened in their course, Jehovah judges accordingly, but his judgment is based on solid evidence. Thus, when a loud outcry reached his ears regarding Sodom and Gomorrah, Jehovah stated, I will go down to see whether they are acting according to the outcry that has reached me. How thankful we can be that Jehovah is not liked by many humans who jump to conclusions before hearing all the facts. Truly, Jehovah is as the Bible depicts him, a God of faithfulness. He is never unjust. Have confidence in Jehovah's justice. The Bible does not address every question regarding Jehovah's actions in the past, nor does it provide every detail about how Jehovah will render judgment concerning individuals and groups in the future. When we are puzzled by accounts of prophecies in the Bible, but such detail is lacking, we can display the same loyalty as he did in the prophet Micah. He wrote, I will show a waiting attitude for God of my salvation. We can be confident that in every situation Jehovah will do what is right, even when injustice is seemingly ignored by man. Jehovah promises, vengeance is mine, I will repay. If we show a waiting attitude, will we echo the firm conviction expressed by the Apostle Paul? Is there injustice with God? Certainly not. In the meantime, we live in critical times, hard to deal with. Injustice and acts of oppression have resulted in many cruel abuses. However, Jehovah has not changed. He still hates injustice, and he cares deeply for those who are victims of it. If we remain loyal to Jehovah and his sovereignty, he will give us strength to endure until the appointed time when he will correct all injustice under his kingdom rule. The law of Jehovah is perfect. The law is a bottomless pit. It devers everything. That statement appeared in a book published back in 1712. Its author declared a legal system in which lawsuits sometimes dragged through the courts for years, bankrupting those seeking justice. In many lands, legal and judicial systems are so complex, so rife with injustice, prejudice, and inconsistencies that contempt for law has become widespread. By way of contrast, consider these words written some 2,700 years ago. How do I love your law? Why did the psalmist feel so strongly? Because the law he praised originated not with any secular government, but with Jehovah God. As you study Jehovah's laws, you may come to feel more and more as the psalmist did. Such a study will give you insight into the greatest judicial mind in the universe. The supreme lawgiver. There's only one who is a lawgiver and judge. The Bible tells us, indeed, Jehovah is the only true lawgiver. Even the movements of the heavenly bodies are governed by his celestial laws. Jehovah's myriads of the holy angels are likewise governed by divine law, for they are organized into definite ranks and serve under Jehovah's command and his ministries. Jehovah's given laws to mankind as well. Each of us had a conscience, a reflection of Jehovah's sense of justice. A kind of international law. The conscience can help us to distinguish right from wrong, Our first parents were blessed with a perfect conscience, so they needed but a few laws. Imperfect man, however, needs more laws to guide him in the doing of God's will. Such patriarchs as Noah, Abraham, and Jacob received laws from Jehovah God and transmitted these to their families. Jehovah became a lawgiver in an unprecedented way when he gave the nation of Israel the law code by means of Moses. This legal code offers us extensive insight into Jehovah's sense of justice. Mosaic law, an overview. When many seem to think that the Mosaic law was an unwidely complex set of laws, such a notion is far from the truth. There are over 600 laws in the entire code. They may sound like a lot, but think. By the end of the 20th century, the federal laws of the United States filled over 150,000 pages of legal books. Every 2 years, some 600 more laws are added. So in terms of sheer volume, the mountain of human law dwarfs the Mosaic law, yet God's law governed the Israelites in areas of the life that modern laws do not even begin to touch. Consider an overview. The law exalted the sovereignty, thus the Mosaic law is beyond comparison with any other law code. The greatest of its laws was this. Listen, O Israel, Jehovah our God is one Jehovah. You must love Jehovah God with all your heart and your whole soul and your strength. How were God's people to express love for him? They were to serve him, submitting his sovereignty. There you go. There you go. Have a lovely rest of your evening.